Alright guys, let me just jump straight into this because what I'm seeing right now, honestly, I had to double take. I've been doing this for 7-8 years here on YouTube. Tracking winter patterns, chasing snowstorms, calling out cold snaps, and I don't say this lightly, but this upcoming early to mid-December setup might be the strongest start to winter I've ever seen during that entire time. And I mean that. This thing looks like a conveyor belt of Arctic air, snowstorms, and big weather moments just slamming into the US one after another. And it's already started. Right now, as I'm talking to you, a massive snowstorm is tearing through the Midwest. The plains, the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, just lighting up the map like a Christmas tree. And what blows my mind is that this isn't even the big one. This is just the first act in what might end up being one of the most hyperactive early December patterns we've seen in a decade, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. I want you to actually see what's happening. When I zoom in on this current storm, it's almost shocking how many states are getting hammered at the same time. We're talking Kansas, Nebraska, both Dakotas, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana. Michigan even sneaking into Ohio and parts of Kentucky. It's like somebody took the Snowfall paintbrush and just dragged it across the whole center of the country. The core of this thing is dumping heavy, dumping snow with legit storm of this season vibes. By the way, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you like the video and subscribe to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now let's move on. As that current storm lifts into Canada tomorrow, we're left with some lingering bands around the Great Lakes classic lake effect stuff. But right behind that, we're already watching snowstorm number 2 loading up. And this one is interesting. It's a classic two-piece setup where you've got northern energy diving in and southern energy sliding east at the exact same time. And when those two pieces phase, you almost always end up with a northeast troublemaker by Monday. December 1st, this thing is already beginning to take shape. And as we head into Tuesday, it starts firing off snow from the Midwest all the way into the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. I mean Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Jersey, Southern New York, all getting in on moderate to heavy snowfall Tuesday evening. New York City, coastal Connecticut, Rhode Island, Boston. You guys are right on the knife's edge with the rain-snow line, hovering over you like a referee waiting to make the call. If this storm trends even slightly colder or slightly farther south, boom, major snow for southern New England. If not, cold rain. This one's going down to the wire. Through Tuesday night into early Wednesday, this storm strengthens offshore, and I mean really strengthens. We're talking a legit nor'easter with a central pressure that screams first big East Coast storm of the season. Heavy snow piles up across southern New York, southern New England, parts of Vermont, New Hampshire, and coastal Maine, and then, guess what? We don't even get a break by Thursday. Another clipper drops in from the northern plains. Light to moderate snow spreads across the Midwest and into the Great Lakes, and while that one is rolling through, the pattern overhead is already lining up for yet another potential Mid-Atlantic Northeast storm somewhere around the 5th-7th. Now, do all the ingredients come together for that one on this model run? Not exactly. The southern branch stays a little too far south, but the overall setup is there. Suspiciously there. The kind of setup where you circle the dates on the calendar and check back every model run. And, THEN, as if we needed more. The models tease yet another southern slider around. December 9th? This one might be the real deep south winter storm setup we haven't seen in a while. Tennessee, the Carolinas, Georgia, even parts of Virginia and Kentucky. All showing up with the potential for snow on that particular run. It's far out. So take that one lightly, but man, this pattern is unbelievable. And the hits keep coming, more clippers. Another possible East Coast system, a constant parade of reinforcing Arctic shots. And a jet stream that just won't quit. I counted it out. 7, maybe 8, maybe even 9 different snow chances over the next 15 days, depending on where you live. You can't make this stuff up now. You know I don't just take one model's word for it, so I checked the GFS too. And while the details don't always match up, and they won't at this distance, the big picture absolutely does. Current storm? Check East Coast storm on the 2nd-3rd. Check more clippers. Yep, Another potential East Coast threat around the 6th-7th. Yep, more northern energy. Yep. The only major difference is that the GFS trends a bit warmer in the southeast during the mid-range. But the biggest disagreement? The warm-up. The GFS keeps insisting we're about to flip warmer. But every time it says warm-up and coming on X date, it pushes that date farther away on the next model run. First it said the 8th, then the 10th. Now we're talking the 12th, or 13th. When models keep kicking the warm-up down the road like that, that's usually a sign the pattern isn't ready to flip. So, could a warm-up happen? Absolutely. But the confidence is not there yet. And here's something I really want to point out because this is huge. Everything about this pattern screams neutral, Enzo. Not La Nina. We've got the active southern jet, the frequent clippers. The persistent Arctic feed and that combo looks way more like the winters of 2001-3-2014, 2014-2015, both of which we've talked about as strong analogs. And those winters, let's just say, they kept people busy. Snowfall maps right now on the Euro are ridiculous. The Midwest, Great Lakes, and Ohio Valley look like someone spilled white paint on the map. The Northeast gets plastered by the storms on the 2nd and 3rd. Even the Southern, Mid-Atlantic starts showing up on later runs. Temps? Arctic blast after Arctic blast after Arctic blast. I honestly lost count of how many cold shots the Euro had in the first 14 days of December. And the GFS has almost as many. Let me put it this way. I've seen active late Decembers. I've seen active Januaries. But early December rarely comes out swinging like this. This is different. This is special. Right out of the gate in early December, I'm seeing a widespread snow pattern establishing itself coast to coast. This is the kind of setup where the cold doesn't just visit, it parks itself. With every new trough digging in from Canada, we reload the snow chances across the plains, Midwest, Northeast, and interior Northwest if you live north of I-70. I think you're going to see measurable snow on the ground earlier than you have in years. Fargo to Duluth. You could get 8 to 12 inches just in the first 10 days of December, Chicago. I wouldn't be surprised if the city racks up 5 to 10 inches by mid-month. Detroit and Cleveland too, 6 to 12 inches early with lake effect bursts pushing isolated totals even higher. In New England? Boston, Albany, Portland, you're staring down 6 to 12 inches in early December alone. With the interior mountains already stacking over a foot, mid and late. December are where this winter really reveals its personality. Instead of one big blockbuster storm followed by a quiet stretch, I'm seeing a steady conveyor belt of systems. Some fast, some slow, some classic clippers diving out of Canada that explode once they hit the Great Lakes. If you're in the Northeast, it's Corridor, New York City, Philly, Baltimore, D.C. This is where things get interesting. The ground will already be cold enough from the early month chill, which means any moisture that tracks up the coast has a better chance of laying down. Snow instead of rain, New York City, 8 to 14 inches by New Year's, Philadelphia, 6 to 10 inches. Washington, D.C., 4 to 8 inches. Above your recent averages, this is where the winter of 2013 starts echoing in the data. We get persistent high-latitude blocking, repeated Arctic intrusions, and storm after storm tracking along the same pathways. If this plays out the way it looks right now, January could be colder and snowier than anything we've seen in nearly a decade. I'm expecting Chicago to cross the 20-inch mark by mid-January. Detroit could be pushing 25 to 30 inches for the season by then. Cleveland, with Lakeith included, you may hit 40 inches by early January. Buffalo, you already know what's coming. This could easily be a 60-inch first half of winter for you. The plains get their fair share. Minneapolis-St. Paul, 35 to 45 inches by the end of January. Denver, Archer-Century inches. Omaha and Des Moines, 15 to 25 inches. And instead of winding down, February looks like it doubles down. Yes, we get brief warm-ups, every winter does, but the pattern reloads fast. More clippers slice through the northern tier. More coastal storms develop along the southeast coastline before rocketing up the eastern seaboard. I see February being one of the snowiest months for the East Coast. Boston, plus 10 to 15 inches in February alone. New York City, another 6 to 12 inches. Philly, 4 to 8 inches. D.C., 3 to 6 inches. The Midwest stays frozen. Chicago, 8 to 14 inches in February. Milwaukee, 10 to 18 inches. Minneapolis, 10 to 20 inches. Alright, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, leave your region or city in the comments. I'll answer them individually as I have time. Commenting is completely free. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.